Up next on Way of the Renaissance Man, helping musicians achieve greater wellness.
BROMISE, I love you, sweet, no longer a mystery, unfolding our destiny.
The music you just heard is an excerpt from a song written and performed by today's guest, Dr. David Allen. David is a Renaissance man in the true sense. He's an accomplished jazz guitarist, pianist, and trumpet player, and his early career and formal educational background is in music. Yet, like so many Renaissance men, David is a seeker, and after pursuing his music career for a number of years, he began looking into ways to help people and his fellow musicians enhance their wellness and live better, healthier lives. In this episode, you'll learn all about David's journey and his approach to integrated wellness, one that incorporates chiropractic care, posture and movement education, exercise, lifestyle, and nutrition. You'll also learn about David's new wellness program designed specifically for musicians. This program is aimed at eliminating muscle, nerve, and joint pain caused by repetitive use injuries, while also teaching musicians how to build good physical habits that can enhance and extend their careers. Plus, you'll also discover how Jim overcame his own persistent music-related wrist injury with David's expert treatment. And now, here's Jim's fascinating conversation with Dr. David Allen.
So my guest today is a man who has helped me out immeasurably with my health and wellness. A few months ago, I was having a lot of problems with my wrist and my arm. And it was a result of overuse from playing piano a lot, playing guitar. And this man helped me out. Made my life better, changed my life for the better. And I want to thank him for it. David Allen, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Jim. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, no, so let's, before we start digging into, some of the main topics I wanted to talk to you about today, give everyone a sense of who you are and how you got to do what you do.
Well, it's a big story, but we'll try to fit it in here for...
Take your time.
I started my music career back when I was 12 years old when Mom and Dad said, hey, how about trying the guitar? And I'm left-handed, and when I picked up the guitar left-handed, my teacher, Mr. Menon, he said, no, you don't hold the guitar that way. You hold it this way. I said, oh, okay. And I'm grateful for that because...
So he made you into a right-handed guitar player.
Yeah, but I mean, you play the guitar with both hands.
Right.
So I think it could go either way, right?
But you could have been Jimi Hendrix.
I could have been Jimi Hendrix. So.
Instead, you're Eric Clapton.
So I'm from Florida originally. And at 12 years old, started just playing guitar just for fun. And didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. And like many people, when my first couple years of college was very exploratory. And I just had a generic direction in business. So I was taking accounting courses and stuff like that. And I was always good enough in school to get by. And I took a statistics course and accounting course, and I was actually having trouble passing them. And I just realized that maybe this is not for me.
Right.
And my parents were really great in that way. And they asked me if I wanted to come home, because I went to University of Florida, and I was living in Miami at the time, and they said, do you want to come home and go to music school? You know, you always really loved music. And just sirens went off inside my head where that would be, I'd like to do that.
So it was their idea for you to go to music school?
Well, they were exploring with me, you know, what do you want to do? And I think it was. I mean,
Yeah, that's fantastic, because most parents, unless they're professional musicians or really into it themselves, want to kind of discourage their sons and daughters from going to art school or music school, because, I mean, for obvious reasons, there's a lot of practical reasons why you might not want to pursue that career, and you know, especially if you're a parent. But then a good parent, I think, sees that if a kid has a passion for something and they see that that's what they really want to do, that it's good that they can see that and cultivate that, because that's you should be happy about that, because that's quite rare.
I am. I feel very blessed to have parents that really would support me in any way possible. And interesting enough, my father was launching a new business, and because he was trying to figure things out too, and so he had a sporting goods business, and I'm sure he would like nothing better than for me to come into his business in the sporting goods and support him. And I think there was a little sadness there for him, but he went beyond that and said, what do you really want to do? And I just loved music school. I had the time of my life. I got straight A's for the first time in my whole career as a student. Before, I would just get by, and I would be okay, B's and C's. And
that's when you know that you're doing something you love, when you almost, not that then it would be effortlessly, of course, I'm sure you worked hard, but when it's work that you love doing, you excel. That's when you know you're in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, so I knew that was what I wanted to do, and I just kept growing every day. And then I graduated a 2-year program, and it was 1978. And at that time, we didn't have the internet, and then I had to decide where am I going to go from there. And of course, every guitar player was reading the Guitar Player magazine. And there was an article on the new GIT, the Guitar Institute of Technology on Hollywood Boulevard. And it was a brand new school, just a year out. And I looked at my parents, I said, that's what I want to do. From Miami, I want to go there. And I packed up, they gave me their blessings and money to do it. I remember the tuition back then was, for a whole year, was $2,600.
That's a deal. That's a deal, and certainly in today's terms.
it was breaking the bank for everyone, at that time. And I packed up my VW bus, my '68 VW bus, when I was 22 years old, and I went to Los Angeles all by myself. I did move out initially with another friend, and we got out to the Valley. I was in the Valley and in Los Angeles, and I said, oh no, this is not for me. And then I went to Santa Monica Beach. I said, okay.
Yeah, this is LA.
This is it. So I got my little bachelor pad in Santa Monica, and I was in hog heaven.
So you started attending GIT in what year, 79?
79. I graduated in 1980, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. GIT was a very special place back then. I mean, it was just starting up, and then that's where our connection.
Yeah, that's what I was going to just transition to, because the reason why you and I know each other is because you had a teacher at GIT named Les Wise.
That's right.
And Les Wise is one of my greatest friends. Mm-hmm. And Les and I have known each other for a long time. You've known Les from far longer than I have. I only met him in the early 2000s. And we actually didn't even meet through music, ironically. We met more through work, through companies that we were working with, and then
He has a lot of interest.
Yeah, he's a Renaissance man, as you are. So he's also, he'll be on the show soon. Les, if you're listening, you got to be on the show. But Les is a master musician,
Absolutely.
master teacher, he's a master computer guy. He's just an all around genius.
If you want to know something, just call Les.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. And if he doesn't know, he'll read 10 books on it and let you know later in the afternoon. That afternoon. But yeah, so he and I became friends, and we started going. We had the music thing in common, but we also had hobbies like motorcycles, motorsports, things like that. So we kind of bonded over all of that. And sometime around the late 2000s, we started going to the NAMM show. And the NAMM was just building up. In fact, that was becoming a really good show. And so 2020 NAMM, just earlier this year,
Just squeaked it in.
that was that was actually the last big event before COVID made everything impossible to get together.
Plenty of transmissions.
There might have been, yeah. There quite. It was February.
January.
It was the late January of 2020, and I remember actually. I was actually feeling not well after that NAMM show, and I just figured it was like a cold.
That's where I got COVID.
Yeah. Well, we both did not get COVID. Let's be clear. I was never diagnosed with it, but I know that was the last big event, and that's when we met. And it was the funny story about that is, so I told Les that I was having issues with my wrist and my shoulder and needed some kind of treatment. He's like, "Oh, you need to see this guy, Dr. Allen. He's my good friend. He was my student. He's a musician. He's going to be at NAMM this year." So then when I saw you at NAMM, then Les said, "Hey, you got to work on this guy." So we were down at the bottom floor of NAMM, and you grabbed me and you started like doing this like deep tissue muscle work, and I was like, it looked like I was being hurt or something like that. And one of the guards there was looking at us, and he came up to me, "Sir, are you okay, sir?" And then Les came in and said, "No, he's fine. He's just getting a treatment. This guy's a doctor. He's helping him." So that was our kind of break. That's when I first met you, and we first had our moment together. But and then subsequently, I came to see you because I was having issues with repetitive pain, and wanted to get your whole wellness ideas incorporated into my life, and we'll talk about those in detail later. But so that's kind of our connection there. So then so you're a musician and you're in the 80s and you're trying to make it as a musician, but then how did you become a doctor? How did that whole process work?
Yeah, well, you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes you have passing ships in the night, and then sometimes you have an event and something happens in your life and it changes your life forever. And I thank my parents again, because I think my father was getting tired of financing my operation out here in California, because I wasn't making very much money, although I was really doing some great things as a beginning musician. I was furthering my education. We talked a little while ago about that with some sight readers. Joseph Valenti, a conductor in Palos Verdes.
Yeah, he had that system that was designed to.
So I was doing all kinds of things. I had a band. I was a music copyist. I was teaching music lessons. So what else do you do as a musician? I mean, that's all I knew.
You were doing the hustle. Yeah.
I was hustling. I was doing a couple. I had, for the technology back then, I had so I had a reel-to-reel system with I had a PV PA system hooked up to my reel-to-reel, and I did several tracks with bass and my drum machine, and I would come to events and I would play, like George Benson stuff, and while everybody.
It was like a whole band.
Yeah. So it was a one-man band thing. So I was
that was the one substituted for digital backing tracks back in the day.
And so I thank my parents again, because my father said, "Is there anything else you could do out there to make a living. And I actually was doing some other things. I had some other skills. I was doing, actually, window tinting was a thing that I was pioneering back then. And then I came across, I'm an avid athlete, so I was the big type of sport back then was racquetball. I mean, they had these racquetball centers, and so in like 1980, I was playing with one of my good friends. His name is Bernie, and he's rubbing his feet before we play. And I'm going, Bernie, what the heck are you doing with your feet before we play? And he said, I couldn't even play today if it wasn't for reflexology. I'm doing some therapy on my feet that helped my back. And I went, what? So I had no idea. I mean, I'm totally clueless to really any of these therapies. So I was introduced to that, and I don't know how it happened, but there was a course. It was like a 4-hour course that was being given somewhere, because I was looking for some other things to do to make a living.
You've always been a Renaissance man, a seeker.
I think
someone who's into
by default.
A lot of things. Yeah. Well, that's what. I have no choice in the matter.
Yeah. If I was Elton John from the beginning, then I wouldn't have to worry about any of that. So I was not Elton John. I was a good musician, but
well, the thing with that is, I mean, there are thousands and thousands of brilliant musicians, but to monetize it is not the easiest thing in the world.
So and most artists are not marketers, so it's tough to bridge that gap. So I took this course. I took a reflexology course, and I liked it. I really did. And part of taking the course, they said you got to practice. So I started practicing on different people, and people were like, they said, "You're really good." And I didn't think much of it at the time, because I mean, I wasn't charging anybody anything, so I figured, well, of course it's good, I'm not even charging you. And it just, one thing led to another, and I started a reflexology practice. And I found a couple of offices that let me practice in there. My first gig was in an acupuncturist office, and so while the person had the needles in there, I was doing the work on the feet. So reflexology is working on the feet, and you're stimulating points that have a healthful benefit to the rest of the body. And so I was just getting more and more confidence in that, and then really couldn't make a living at that either. There was not much of a demand for this kind. It was a brand new therapy. So I started to do some massage therapies. I started to do other things, and even back in the early '80s, was not really. It wasn't that mainstream at the time. There was no licensing for massage or reflexology back then. I had an orange card with a thumbprint on it, with a mugshot, and that was basically it was a police card, and that was my license. So as I started to think about getting married and having a family, I said, well, this is not much of a profession. So I started to look into what else can I do. So to be a doctor gave me an idea of a good umbrella, because I like to teach everything. I wanted to have something that could be all comprehensive, and I chose chiropractic. It just seemed like something more for me, because I was more into alternative and nutrition and more health oriented. It just made sense to me.
More hands-on almost.
It also went along with the massage stuff I was doing. So in 1985, I just set out to get my science courses that I needed from Santa Monica College, and started school in '87 and became a doctor of chiropractic in 1990, and was licensed in '91. So I've been a doctor since then, and all along that time I've been teaching, and then still having my music. I'm still doing lots of things. I picked up the trumpet along the way, and I became pretty good in the trumpet. And
yeah, I've heard you playing on these some recordings.
There we go.
But very good.
Yeah, thank you. I found that the trumpet was, I was not playing with the best embouchure, and I was having problems with my lips going numb, and then also I was having an issue with my hands. So I went to see a great teacher who is a great musician too, Dr. Bobby Rodriguez. And we sat there for like an hour just talking to him about what I should do about playing and with my hand. And then I realized that, I think the trumpet needs to be put down. And my main instrument is guitar, and I do know how to play the piano. So if I'm going to do anything, I'm just going to spend more time with that. And I've let the trumpet go for now. The trumpet is a very hard, not forgiving instrument. You can't just pick it up here and there.
No, I think a lot of the wind instruments are very difficult like that. People don't realize, there's a technique to them that is outside of a regular guitar.
But the horn versus a wind, the horn is a tougher instrument.
Yes, that's yeah, and it's because of the musculature you need on your lips.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a different thing.
So the health thing, I've just been on a tear. I've always been interested in multiple things in the health area. So I consider myself a mind-body doctor, and I've always been teaching. And so what I have to share with you today is really what I'm doing right now, because I rebranded my whole career.
So you've been practicing since '91.
Yes.
Okay. So,
as a doctor, but I was a therapist since the 1981.
So we're talking like
40
almost
years.
40 years or so now
Yeah.
of practicing. And so that's why I'm excited about talking to you today, because I wanted to explore what you're doing now, which kind of ironically fits into the whole kind of COVID communication paradigm that we've found ourselves on. Everyone's found themselves in this last few years. So your main project now is called David Allen Wellness.
Well, that's my business now.
That's your business now.
My business was Rocket Ship Wellness, and from a marketing standpoint, how I was describing myself was not that clear. It wasn't a clear message from what I understood in terms of presenting to the public. So I've surrounded myself with some really good marketing people, so I could just get my message that I want out there, that could be a clear message and a call to action. And I'm very happy. I'm very happy with my new logo. I'm very happy with the David Allen Wellness, because it puts my name right in there with the wellness, and that's what it's about, because I've had this incredible journey with my own health and also with wellness and all the different things I do, that when people come to see me, David Allen Wellness is really my experience with wellness and how I could share that experience with everyone and how I could help them. So there's a lot said there. And the success like I had with you, I have one-on-one success one after another, which is very encouraging for me. I'm very happy about that. But now I'm in a different stage of my career where I want to continue to do that, but I want to see how I could branch out globally. And so in the beginning of David Allen Wellness was the whole idea of really becoming a global brand. Mm-hmm. And underneath the David Allen Wellness is Musicianship Wellness, which is I'm still going to be using for my courses for musicians.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, I have a wellness course for musicians, so that's really exciting, and that's developed over the last couple of years. And then I have an academy that is just being formed. So it's David Allen Wellness Academy. So you got David Allen Wellness Academy. That's where my courses will be, and I'll have. I taught massage for 30 years, so there'll be a whole bunch of massage type courses. There'll be, my main background in education is movement education and posture. So there'll be posture movement education courses in there.
Yeah, you've taught me some of that stuff, and
there'll be nutrition courses in there. I have a vast knowledge of nutrition. And then I also have an achievement program, and so all that's going to be developed over the next couple years. The eminent thing right now is I'm launching a new course, my first course on my academy called the Best Exercise Program for the Musician. And I'm really excited about this. And since I kind of created the course where we did it backwards, instead of doing market research to find out what people really want and need, and then creating a course like that, I've kind of created a course and have been testing out this information from in schools in Los Angeles.
Yeah, you've been road testing this thing for years, or for about a year now, haven't you?
Yeah, well, for actually about 3 years now.
Okay.
And 2 years ago, I brought on board one of my partners. His name is Greg Irwin. He is an amazing health guru for the hands and conditioning the hands. And that kind of led me to the name of my program being the Best Exercise Program for the Musician. So, I mean, what does that mean? Are you going to just learn a bunch of exercises when you take my course?
Yeah, no, that's, yeah.
Well, you are going to learn, we are going to have exercises in there. I have some exercises with yoga and foam roller and also the Swiss ball. But the biggest part of the course is hand conditioning exercises, and that's going to be taught by Greg. So it's amazing what he does with the hands.
Yeah, I've seen videos of him. You've showed me that, and he's like a magician with his hands. I mean, it's really intricate stuff that, you know, you try to do some of the stuff. Go on YouTube or whatever and see if you can find this kind of like information out, because you're going to just be like blown away by this guy's dexterity.
You could just type in finger fitness, and his claim to fame, and what gave him a big push, is first of all, his stuff is fun. It's just fun to see. It's fun to be around somebody that has his skills. And if you have something fun, then you're going to be shown on TV in an entertainment way. So he got on Johnny Carson, and he was very successful with that show. And he also knows he's native born here in United States, but he also speaks fluent Mandarin. So he's been all over China showing his work. So there's like at least 1 billion people have seen his work. And it's fun, and it's very effective besides being fun. So we have him as part of the course, and then my course is very unique because it brings on that movement education that all the musicians need. And then we have some other things too.
So that's a perfect transition. Let's get a little bit into the musicianship wellness program.
The course is great on lots of levels because I'm sharing with the musicians, and so I have such a deep connection with music and musicians that all the things I do with wellness, I couldn't think of something better than to be able to help musicians. And it's a hard time right now for musicians with what's going on. I mean,
it was a hustle. It was a hard hustle before, but now that we can't play shows,
you can't do anything.
It's become even worse.
Yeah, my heart goes out to the musicians, and my course. I mean, it's not a $20 course. My course is an academic, almost like a full college level course for professional musicians, music educators, and serious music students that are going to be professionals. And so how are these musicians going to even pay for it? So I just want to let everyone know that's listening that if a musician wants to get in my course, we're going to get him in somehow. I already have people that are gifting seats that have the wherewithal to gift seats for musicians. So there's a scholarship fund where musicians that really want to come into the course, we'll get them in somehow. And then also the course is opening up on January 25th next year. And if somebody registers for the course beforehand, it's almost like half price off.
So January 25th, 2021.
That's right. Okay. Coming up. And so if you want to get into the course, you could get into the course for a lot less money.
So tell me then, who is this program for? And let me give you kind of a scenario, Leslie. Like, let's say, I know because I live in LA. I live close. I live within an hour of you. I can come see you. You can come do what you did with me, which is some deep tissue muscle work, some chiropractic adjustment, some movement exercise, education. And that really helped me like get over that acute pain that I was having from repetitive use. But let's say I'm a musician. Let's say I'm in Austin, Texas, and I can't come see you easily. You know, what can I do to get in? What would this program do, and also what could you do to help me? You know, from in a virtual manner.
It's going to be a little different because in your case, you were able to come and see me, and I put a lot of thought into how is a transition going to work where I'm not going to be able to see somebody. So there's a lot of thought put into that, and it's a continuing kind of process that's going on. But I think I have it down pretty good where anyone around the world that wants to jump on the course can really benefit. And so this is some of the thought that's been put into. So let's say you have this artist from Austin come into my course. And lots of musicians will have issues. They're going to have issues with their health or their hands or something that's going on. And the great thing about my course is that I'm the doctor. People don't have to check with their doctor before they do these exercises. You can check with me. I'm the course creator. And you have access to me. So there's a lot of access in the course for my support. Part of the course is when you come into the course, you get 1 hour of video conference during the course.
So you get a lot of direct attention from you.
Sure. And then at that point, I could troubleshoot if there's anything going on with their health, or if I can't be around to help them, then I could direct them. I could find the right support in their city. And you'd be surprised, many people, especially if you live in the United States, you could fly over here and come hang out with me for a week or two, have a couple of treatments, and you'd be surprised how much you could learn.
I noticed that, like when I came in, I mean, I saw you maybe 5 or 6 times. But after the first few times, I pretty much had conquered the issue that I was having. You know, it was that kind of, acute attention that I needed, and with a little bit of like kind of, at home work as well. And it really, really helped. And thanks so much. I mean, you kind of allowed me to do what I want to do.
Oh, you're welcome.
So it was quite a beautiful thing, and that's why I want everybody. That's why I'm glad you decided to do this show with me, because I want you to share the wealth. I want everybody else to feel as good as I did.
Well, listen, I love your support. I appreciate all the kudos, and I never get tired of listening to how I could help people, because that's my greatest. The giver should be thankful. It's the greatest joy to really do something for somebody, and especially with their health.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that is the most rewarding in life, is when what you do helps someone else.
So this person in Austin,
yes,
there would be great benefit for them to take the course, because they're going to get the support. We're going to have weekly live Facebook sessions where you can we could troubleshoot. So I'm going to be around, and this is we're calling this a pilot program. And what that means is that even though I've battle tested the materials at the schools in Los Angeles, I've given classes at the Musicians Institute and also Los Angeles Community College and some other smaller schools in Pasadena, music schools. So I know this stuff works, but bringing it all online, it's a completely different experience.
Right.
So we're calling it a pilot class. That's why the price is a lot. It's quite reduced. And then during the pilot course, I'm going to be expecting everyone that's coming in to know that this is a maiden voyage, and I'm going to be asking for feedback every step of the way. So when you take a lesson, there'll be a discussion tab, and you could click on the discussion tab and say, well, I don't like the color of your videos, or whatever it is,
right,
or maybe you could extrapolate a little bit more on this, or you can
Yeah, so people will have input into,
Yeah.
the next iterations of the course and make it kind of fine tune it to make it the best it can be.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to have the pilot course open for a year and probably cut off the registration after 6 months. So, I want to have people at least 6 months so they could have the course to chew on. And a big part of the course is besides the attention that we could support them, I also am using my achievement program, okay, which is a separate program, but I'm integrating that into all my courses. So say, for example, you take a course and you go, wow, this is great information. You're really excited. And then you finish the course or you complete the course, and then what?
Right.
So you've learned these great things, but if you don't integrate that with your life, you have some retention to some degree, but there's so much information that you're going to learn on my course, you're going to waste. You're going to waste it. The habits are not going to be there. You're not going to, the memory is, you're not going to get the benefit of what you want to do. So the achievement program, I have a 60-day achievement program. So you could set any day that you want, but I think 60 days is good. So you get a journal. All this is part of the course. You'll get a journal, which is 60 days. We'll have a list of things that you're going to be doing. So things that you've learned in the course, you're going to be doing every single day. Some movement education, exercises, some very simple things, but some things that are these habits that I want people to really use so they get the benefit of the program. So if you can stick with practicing for 60 days, all these new habits, the things with self-hypnosis, the things with your hand exercises, the thing with all the other exercises, you could even add some nutrition to it as well. Right. But we're going to have a set thing that we recommend that you do this for 60 days. And then you could have accountability within those 60 days too. Weekly, we could take a look at how you're doing with the program. Well, after 60 days, then I'm going to feel more confident that you've walked away with a course that's not only going to be helpful to you at that moment, but something that you could take on for the rest of your life.
Well, you actually said the magic word without even knowing it. And it's one of the, there's 3 different kind of principles, 3 concepts that kind of equal that's what I call the Renaissance man ethos. Okay. And the first one is focus. Okay. And we talked about, you talked about the kind of identifying and being aware of these things that you need to know about, and just the fact that you're seeking out information from someone, you're aware or focused on a problem. But the second part, and which is the accountability part, the second word is integration. Okay, so the accountability thing is a tool to integrate what you've been focusing on in your course. So those are the 2 kind of premises, pillars that I call of Renaissance man pillars, because you have the focus, you have the integration, and then the final pillar is celebration, because you are able to celebrate what you focused on and what you've integrated into your life. And now you're able to actually enjoy the improvement you've made from that, whether that translates into being able to play better on stage, or just being a happier person, or just having a new kind of appreciation for something that you've done in life. Because it's all about that last stage, but you can't get to that last stage without earning it. And in order to earn it, you got to focus and you got to really integrate it. So,
well, it's interesting how how I describe my method, dovetailing into what you just said. And this is a little different from what we talked about before. So I try to keep things simple. So you have a complex topic. And so my method is 3 items. One is awareness. And so you can see how the awareness is
like
similar to focus. Exactly. So the awareness, it's a very specific awareness. So before you learn how to be better with these habits, is you have to have kind of a focused awareness, an observational awareness about what you're doing, because it's not what you play, it's how you play. And then the next part has to do with what really life is about. Life is about movement. Life is movement, and you have to not only celebrate it, but you have to embrace it and know that that's going on. And what happens is we forget about the movement. We're just stuck and we do repetitive stuff.
Right.
But then the other thing that dovetails into the what my method is about is implementation. So I describe my method as AMI, A-M-I, am-I. Awareness, movement, and implementation. So you just talked about the integration.
Right.
So it's interesting how,
Yeah, we have a lot of the same kind of.
there's
The approach is similar.
well, the mountaintops there is just another path.
yeah, there you go.
I just want to share with your listeners that my course, because wellness for musicians can be a broad topic.
Right.
So what really happens, and I'm not. I'm not.
Yeah,
gonna
describe kind of a little bit about the course more.
Well, I am interested in your blood pressure, but we're not going to be doing that per se. If we're doing some troubleshooting and you have a blood pressure issue, I can certainly work with that. But it's not going to be covered in the course.
Yes.
And the course would be similar. If you were going to take like a wellness course with me, it would be more on the lines of like an Alexander Technique course or a Feldenkrais course, because those two,
just so everyone knows, Alexander and Feldenkrais are like a type of body movement education that is used at like schools like Juilliard Music School and acting schools, things like that.
yeah. In particular, what I wanted to mention is that the school of Juilliard. I mean, almost every musician knows about this school. So it's one of the premier schools in the world. They've had an Alexander instructor on staff there for over 35 years. Now, Alexander has nothing to do with playing your instrument. It has everything to do with how you play it, how you live your life. And it's an education in itself. It's not so much of like learning how to sit up straight or do this is how you should play. It has nothing to do with that. The real education with movement education is deep like any other subject. So that's what you're going to be learning. You're going to be learning this approach to how you play. And it's more than just giving you a set of principles. You have to understand and take into action and to see how it works, like what they do in the Alexander Technique. So if you think that the people at Juilliard, if it's good enough for the people at Juilliard, then it's good enough for you as a musician, because this is information that every musician needs to know, and they don't. They simply don't. They just go on with their habits, because we all know how to sit and we all know how to stand. We all know how to play the guitar, but how are we feeling when we play it? And is that performance going to be encroaching on the quality of the performance and the quality of life in the long term of possible injuries that most likely will occur because you're just being unconscious with how you're using your body and abusing it? So you need to have this newfound awareness, and that's a big part of the class.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they learn a technique, they learn a skill, and what they don't know is that repetitive technique, that repetitive skill, just about for anything, working out, any kind of sports, any kind of, activity, any kind of work kind of activity where you're using even just sitting at a desk, working on a computer, there's a lot of repetitive injuries that can take place, and people have issues with like short-circuiting their careers, and that's something that I think the longer we can do the things we love, the happier our lives are going to be. And that's one of the reasons I'm excited about this, because I want to be able to keep playing until I'm old,
Why not?
And I want to keep getting better till I'm old. But I'm not going to be able to do that if I'm in a lot of pain or if somehow my functionality is compromised. So, and I know that's what you've helped me do personally, but I want to make sure that everyone has any kind of issues out there. Like I have one teacher now that is a piano teacher of mine, and he also is a guitar teacher and vocal teacher. But he's had problems with his fingers and his hands, and he's had to have injections and things like that, because over years and years of use, 40 plus years of use, you tend to have these issues. But the more education he has about how to self-correct that, the better off he's going to be. And that's what I want to be able to share with him and share with everybody.
And the sooner you do it, the better, because you think that, you're going to have problems when you're like in your 40s, 50s, and 60s and 70s. I don't care who comes in the office, they're in their 20s and 30s, and there's all these problems that they have. All these problems start very early on, because you start off in life having complete freedom of movement, and you have more of a balance. And then society and life takes on these repetitive actions, and movements become unconscious, and these unconscious habits just lead to all the problems. So I don't care who you are and what the problem is or how old you are, is that you need to learn this. This is the operating system for your body. This should be taught in school with the ABCs, and it's not. So I'm capitalizing on that because I have those skills. I know there's people out there suffering, and they don't have to.
Yeah, I think that's the key. I mean, there's people out there that like I was, that was really hurting, and that needed some acute attention and needed some wider knowledge about the situation. Now, I would dare to say that if I had the knowledge before I developed the issue, I might have been able to nip it in the bud and not even need to have the intense kind of, attention that you gave me. I'm grateful for that. But it would have been, if I'd have known how to do some things beforehand that you taught me to do, I might not have gotten myself in that predicament.
I would encourage everyone, like you said, you could have avoided it. Yes, you could have avoided it, but you have to appreciate all the stress and strain that goes on with all the things you do. I don't care how balanced they are. Right. So it's something called maintenance.
Yes.
It's like we take our cars in for maintenance. So why not take your bodies in?
Yeah, that was the analogy that came to mind. I mean, if you're into cars and you love your car, you pamper it. Every 3,000, every 5,000 miles, I'm getting in there, I'm getting the wheels aligned, I'm getting all this stuff done to my car, and I need to do the same thing with my body because that's my vehicle for life.
And it's just going to be predictable that everybody has some kind of problem because they're not doing things for maintenance. Right. There's very few people that will just go and get maintenance for a massage or chiropractic, and people think of massage as a luxury. Well, it's not. It's not. It's just a way to help keep balanced, and we're all athletes. And
yeah, you've mentioned that to me before, and I really like this analogy. Like, the elite athletes you watch any NFL game, whatever, they have these trainers on the sidelines giving people like massages and getting people like, special hydrating drinks and things like that, but with a musician especially, but everybody in general, but especially with musicians, we're tiny muscle athletes.
Yes, we call small muscle athletes. And if you don't consider yourself as an athlete, you're gonna be in trouble because you are an athlete. Everyone is an athlete because you're getting up and doing things, and those things require athletic skill. I mean, the coordination to get up, to move your arms, to do everything is an athletic miracle, and it all takes a certain amount of strain, and it just makes sense to have it maintained. There's no difference between you and the top athletes in the world. So why are they getting treatments to be able to shoot a ball into a hoop? They'll have 2 treatments a day to make sure they're fine-tuned just to do everything perfectly on the basketball court or the football field. what about you? What about all the musicians? For all the hours you put into it, don't you think you're good enough for you to receive the maintenance to keep your body balanced, to keep your body to keep your performance level at a high level?
Yeah, it's definitely true, and you don't even have to be like someone who makes their living in music. Even if you just like enjoy playing as a hobby, or even if you just enjoy music, period, you need to have that ability to actually play it, and that's doing something like your wellness program is a way to ensure that someone can do that, and someone that and just I mean I would encourage it just because there's no better kind of knowledge than self-knowledge. I think that's one of the things that you're able to direct. That's one of your gifts, I think, to be able to kind of give somebody that self-knowledge.
For me, it's just sharing. I've learned something and right away start teaching it.
Excellent. All right, so in closing, let me let everyone know where to go to get your course, and anything else that you want to talk about as the course, and so people can get a really good takeaway.
You could get over to just David Allen Wellness and see what I have to offer for if somebody's in need. If you're not a musician, you're not going to take the music course. I wouldn't recommend that.
Right.
But there could be some ways of me helping. My call to action on my homepage is schedule a free consultation. You could schedule a 15-minute consultation with me, video conference, and we could troubleshoot. And if you got an issue with your body, more than likely I could help you, whether you're local or you're not local. So check out davidallenwellness.com, and then you could access my academy right there too. On the menu, you could just click on Academy, and you'll be able to find the best exercise program for the musician, which is the one that's coming up. You could check me out on Facebook. I have David Allen Wellness there. I have weekly webinars until, I'm not sure when you're going to be airing this, but my course is opening January 25th. And I'm having ongoing webinars live, Facebook Live every Monday. So
okay, yeah, and I'll have all your Facebook links and your website links on my page, and I encourage everyone to check it out. Get the self-knowledge that you deserve as a Renaissance man or woman, and make a commitment to yourself. I mean, there's nothing more important than your life on earth right now. So why treat it like it's anything but the most precious thing that you could ever have, the gift of having? And David is going to help you with that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate your support and the opportunity to share with your listeners.
Thanks a lot, man. Love you.
Love you too.
Way of the Renaissance Man podcast and lifestyle website are copyrighted 2021 by Jim Woods. All rights reserved. For more great interviews and Renaissance Man resources, visit wadeoftherenaissanceman.com.